Well, good day everybody and welcome back. If you're a creative person who likes to shoot video and especially are interested in black and white video, things like that, this might be the video for you. How can you modify your skin tone, at least the clarity of your skin tone, if you have like age or sun blemishes or other skin conditions? How can you make them look a little bit cleaner and clearer? And so I came up with some ideas last night I'd like to share with you. Well, so I'm shooting some black and white video tonight only because, I'm a black and white photographer and videography is a part of photography, and you can get different effects on a person's skin tone by color filtering the sensor, whether that's film or photo paper or in this case a digital sensor. So I've been thinking about the fact that when I shoot this normal black and white mode, you have a little bit of like skin blotches and things that show up. That's just part of my complexion. I know that when you switch the camera to this other black and white mode called dynamic monochrome, that it uses more of the blue part of the sensor, and that causes it to be a lot higher in contrast, and it shows more of the skin blotches. Okay, this is a shooting with the dynamic monochrome mode now, and I'm still at ISO 400. You can see all these blotches and things because it's using more of the blue part of the sensor. So what I'm going to do now is switch it back to the normal black and white mode, and then I'm going to put on this deep red 25R filter and bump up the ISO to compensate for the light loss and see how it looks. Okay, here we are. So this is the red filter, the deep red filter. I've had to bump my ISO from 400 up to 3200. Okay, but look at the skin tone difference here. See how it improves the skin tones? It just kind of lightens things up and makes my skin look lighter and smoother and all that. Well, that's kind of the effect that a black and white video signal can have when you filter the light for only a particular color channel. Filtering it physically with physical filters, right? In this case, the 25R. So yeah, it is a dramatic difference. However, it does cut the light down quite a bit, and as a consequence, you'll find yourself having to, in this case, indoor light at nighttime, bumping up the ISO. But if you're outdoors, shooting outdoors, you might have plenty of light. Well, okay, so it is the next morning. I have the red filter on the lens here on the G7, and we're running at a 400th of a second. You can see with the red filter, of course, we still have our smooth skin appearance. Well, okay, here's the unfiltered black and white. It looks like the contrast might be a little bit higher. Of course, I got a harsh sunlight hitting me here. Maybe the red filter is a good thing for outdoors. There's another technique you can use for better looking video, and that is to control the motion blur. That's right, when things are moving, does it look natural or does it look strobe-like? This is called the 180 degree shutter angle rule. If your shutter speed is twice your frame rate, then motion blur looks natural. See, right now it looks kind of stroby. It looks unnatural, and that's because I'm using a faster shutter speed. I have to do that because I'm running the lens wide open. So let's see, if I was to darken the lens, let's go with me here. I'm going to take my shutter speed all the way down to a 60th, which is twice my frame rate, and then I'm going to modify my aperture. So this is a 180 degree shutter angle, and you notice the motion blur is much smoother. It doesn't have that stroby look. So the 180 degree shutter angle rule gets its name from the old days of motion picture film cameras, where the shutter was a rotating disc rotating through the film gate. The shutter speed or exposure, as governed by the shutter speed, was how much of that circular angle was open. And they determined that if half of the shutter was open, so 180 degrees was open, it would give you a more natural motion blur. That's where the name comes from, even though these video cameras don't use a rotating disc type shutter. But I think one of the obvious differences, even outdoors or indoors, regardless, is the look of the skin, right? So this is with the red filter, and it looks pretty smooth. And without the red filter, it's pretty obvious I have a lot of facial blemishes, age spots, whereas when you put the red filter on, it cuts down all that blue light that is picking up your veins underneath your skin and gives you those blemishes. So let us summarize. If you're interested in shooting black and white video and you want to get better skin tones, consider using a red filter on your lens when you're shooting in the black and white mode on your camera. You'll have to increase your ISO or give it more light, of course, but it gives you an interesting look. And also, if you want to have a more normal looking motion blur, try to use a shutter speed that's twice the frame rate, meaning if you're shooting at 24 frames a second, get a shutter speed around 1/50th of a second. If you're shooting at around 30 frames a second, like I am now, you want to use a shutter speed of a 60th of a second. And you will have to modify your aperture and or your ISO to get the right exposure. Well, I hope this helps you if you have any video projects in mind using black and white video. And until next time, stay creative and have yourselves a great day. Bye-bye for now.